Joining us for more on this is an expert Israeli negotiator, himself a veteran of Israeli-Arab peace talks, Lieutenant Colonel in the Reserves, Moty Cristal. And Moty, it would seem here that almost all the sides, Hamas, Israel, the Egyptians, want to see some kind of long-term stability, some kind of long-term ceasefire. Why aren't the negotiations moving forward or succeeding at all?
Well, I tend to disagree with you. I think that this is a classic win-win-win outcome because definitely for Hamas, they are interested in either escalation or some sort of an agreement which will ease the conditions. Therefore, when they have nothing to lose, negotiation-wise, they have much more power in this bargaining table. Hamas have made a strategic decision to lead the area, to lead Gaza to that brink. And it plays beautiful for them. What we see here is a complete lack of political or any strategic political strategy on behalf of Israel, because Israel, it seems that surrendered the military actions to the decisions of the chief of staff, rightfully so, and surrender all the political negotiations to the Egyptians, relying heavily on the Egyptian mediation services, while keeping the Israeli government, keeping themselves away from any sort of directing it either towards an agreement or towards a military escalation. Well, and you cannot really win negotiations or war if you take the passive move.
Well, on that passive move, it reminds me of another issue we've been hearing about throughout these on-again, off-again negotiations, which is Israel sort of sidelining the Palestinian Authority, not speaking directly to Palestinian Mahmoud Abbas or close officials, and deferring instead to not only the Egyptian but Hamas. Is that the case from your understanding, and is that a dangerous position?
It is a very dangerous position. It is a very dangerous position because by the end of the day, in that sense, it seems that Netanyahu has the same political interest of Hamas, which is not speaking with Abu Mazen. And I think
let's just repeat that sentence. Netanyahu has the same political interest as
Hamas.
That's,
to sideline Abu Mazen. To sideline Abu Mazen. I think that the fear of being perceived as interested in any political dialogue with Abu Mazen is much bigger than the fear of conceding to Hamas. And this is completely unacceptable from an Israeli strategic perspective. In terms of mutual deterrence, speak with the people around Gaza, with the Israelis. Israel is unfortunately today deterred by Hamas rather than Hamas being deterred by Israel. Why? Because Netanyahu refuses to engage with Abu Mazen. And Abu Mazen understands that this refusal leverages his power and continue to veto any negotiation, any agreement between the Egyptians and the Hamas. The current headache of the Egyptian delegation is not Israel reaction or military escalation. The current headache is Abbas-Hamas axis, not Netanyahu. Netanyahu could have solved it or assist the Egyptians by engaging, and I'm not talking about reaching an agreement with Abbas. I don't think that either in the long term or mid-term, Abbas is a reliable partner for any agreement, but as a negotiator, I would say engage in a negotiation.
But what about negotiation with Hamas? You seem to be implying by saying Israel's conceding its right of negotiation to others with Hamas, it loses some power there. What about those who say at any negotiation with Hamas, without getting them first to change some of their attitude toward Israel, to terrorism, is already a major concession?
I will reply with a question. When the life of Gilad Shalit were at stake, Israel sent a very senior delegation to Egypt to conduct direct talk with Hamas. Now, when the life of hundreds of Israelis are at stake, Israel refuses to do so. Israel refuses to initiate a significant negotiation process with either Hamas or Abbas. This is a passive move which works against Israel's national interest.
Do you think that there is a notion in Israeli government, from what you're saying, that time is on its side? Everybody in this conflict always seems to think that time is on their side.
If you ask from an Israeli strategic perspective, the answer is no, because reality deteriorates and Israel loses its deterrence. If you ask from Netanyahu's political interest, yes, because any escalation will work, according to the polls, in his political favor. So we need to separate here between Israel's political, Israel's strategic benefits and Netanyahu's political benefits, which unfortunately are not the same at that point.
An important reminder that the benefits and interests of a particular leader, a president, a prime minister, are often very different than that of the government, and even more different than that of the country itself.